The morning sunlight spilled through the Carter kitchen like any other Saturday. Emma stirred her cereal, half listening as her parents joked about the grocery list. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. Her father's laughter felt rehearsed, her mother's smile a little too bright. When the phone rang, Daniel's hand shot out before the second ring, his voice lowering to a whisper. Emma caught only fragments. Not now. It's too risky. Her heart thudded. Too risky for what? She looked at her mother, who suddenly froze mid-step, eyes fixed on the window. Outside, a black sedan idled by the curb. "Who is that?" Emma asked softly. Laura forced a laugh. Probably a delivery. But the car didn't move. How long had they been living two lives under one roof? And whose voice was on the other end of that call? Moments later, Emma noticed something wedged behind a cookbook, a faded photograph. Her mother stood in it, smiling, her arm around a man who wasn't her father. Yet somehow, he looked almost exactly like him. Emma kept the photo hidden in her sleeve as she climbed the stairs. Her heart pounded like footsteps in a tunnel. Downstairs, her parents spoke in careful tones, too calm. She entered her room and shut the door softly. The walls, once comforting, now felt like strangers. Who was the man in the picture? Why did he look so much like her father? She searched her memory, every vacation, every family story, and realized how little she actually knew. Then, from the crack beneath her door, a flicker of light moved past. She froze. Someone was standing outside. "Emma?" Her father's voice. She hid the photo under her pillow. "Yeah," she replied, "just checking if you're okay." But his voice carried something she never heard before. Fear. Dinner was quiet. Forks clinked against plates like tiny alarms. Max, her younger brother, talked about a school project while their parents nodded mechanically. Emma glanced at her father. He avoided her eyes. Her mother smiled too much, laughed too loud. It felt like they were performing a scene they didn't believe in anymore. When Emma excused herself, Laura's hand caught hers. Tight, trembling. "We'll talk tomorrow," her mother whispered. But tomorrow felt too far away. Upstairs, Emma opened her laptop and searched the name she'd seen written on the back of the photograph. Michael Carson. What appeared on the screen made her stomach drop. It was her father. Or someone who looked exactly like him, standing in an old mugshot. That night, thunder rolled far away. Emma lay awake, replaying every word, every strange glance. At 1 a.m., she heard the sound, her father's footsteps leaving the house. Curiosity burned stronger than fear. She crept to the window, peeking through rain-slick glass. Daniel crossed the street and entered a waiting car, the same black sedan. The headlights blinked twice before vanishing down the hill. Emma's hands shook as she wrote the time in her journal, 1:07 a.m. She didn't know why, but something told her she'd need proof. When she turned back, her mother's bedroom light was on. The door opened slightly. Laura was awake too, and she was crying. Morning arrived heavy with silence. Daniel was gone, and Laura's eyes were red. "Work trip," she said too quickly. Emma nodded, pretending to believe her. But the photograph, the mugshot, the car, they didn't vanish. They waited. At school, Emma couldn't focus. The world outside her window blurred. When she came home, her mother was on the porch, holding an envelope addressed to no one. "This came for you," Laura murmured. Emma opened it and froze. Inside was another photograph, this time of her father, standing beside a younger woman Emma didn't recognize. On the back, a single line, "The truth always finds its way home." The photo haunted Emma all night. She hid it beneath her mattress, but every creak of the house made her imagine someone searching for it. By morning, Daniel was still gone. Laura tried to act normal, packing Max's lunch, humming, but her hands shook when she buttered toast. "He'll be back tonight," she said, avoiding eye contact. Emma nodded, but a question lodged in her throat. Back from where? At school, her mind replayed the faces in those photos. The same eyes, the same smile, the same man living two names. When she returned home, the house was empty, lights still on. Back door unlocked. She stepped into the kitchen and noticed muddy footprints, too large to be her father's, and still wet. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, scrolling through her father's social media. Nothing new, nothing strange, nothing real. Everything about him felt manufactured. Around midnight, she heard her mother on the phone in the hallway whispering, "You promised me he'd stay out." The voice on the other end was deep and unfamiliar. Emma held her breath. "She's starting to ask questions," Laura whispered. The call ended abruptly. Footsteps approached. Emma scrambled under her blanket, pretending to sleep. Her mother opened the door quietly, watching her for a long moment before slipping away. Emma's pulse raced. Who was she? And what promise had been broken? The next morning, Emma biked to school early, but instead of turning toward campus, she veered off toward the industrial park, toward the direction where the black sedan had driven that night. The air was cold, heavy with mist. She found a warehouse marked Carson Logistics. Her chest tightened. The same last name as on that photograph. Through a broken window, she saw boxes stacked high and someone moving inside. A silhouette that looked like her father. She ducked behind her bike, breath trembling. Her phone slipped from her hand, clattering on the pavement. The figure turned toward the sound. For a split second, Emma saw his face in the dim light. It was him, but his eyes didn't recognize her. Emma raced home, heart hammering. She waited until evening, when her father finally returned. His shoes were still wet from rain. "Long day?" she asked carefully. He smiled, weary. "The longest." Laura appeared behind him, her tone too casual. "Everything okay at school?" The question sounded like a warning. Emma wanted to scream the truth, to demand answers, but the air was too thick with lies. Over dinner, Daniel asked about her grades, about Max's soccer practice, about anything that wasn't real. When Emma reached for her glass, she saw a faint mark on her father's wrist, tan old scar she had never noticed before, shaped like a circle burned into his skin. That night, Emma returned to the kitchen and examined the photo again. The man beside her mother, Michael Carson, wore the same ring her father now had. She flipped the picture over, tracing the faded handwriting. "For our new beginning." A chill went through her. Then she heard a sound, a soft click from outside. She peeked through the curtains. The black sedan was back, idling near the curb. A shadow stepped out, tall, deliberate, holding something metallic in one hand. Emma ducked. When she looked again, the figure was gone. The street was empty, except for the faint scent of exhaust drifting through the night air. The morning after the sedan returned, Emma decided she couldn't keep pretending. She followed her father's car from a distance, staying far enough not to be noticed. The road wound past the city limits, into the industrial zone. Her heart pounded as she saw him pull into that same warehouse, Carson Logistics. She parked her bike behind a dumpster and crept closer. The smell of oil and rain thick in the air. Inside, through a crack in the rusted door, Daniel spoke to someone. "A woman. We can't keep this up," he said. The woman's voice replied, sharp and low. "You already made your choice." Emma's phone camera trembled in her hand. The woman stepped into the light, and Emma saw her mother. Emma stumbled back from the warehouse, her breath shaky. How long had her parents been meeting there? Why in secret? She biked home fast, the wind stinging her eyes. Inside her room, she replayed what she saw. Her mother's voice, the briefcase, her father's look of guilt. Hours later, when Laura came home, Emma pretended to be asleep. Laura's footsteps paused outside her door. Emma could almost hear her mother's breathing, steady but trembling. When the door clicked shut, Emma sat up, shaking. She knew she needed to see what was inside that warehouse again, but not alone. For the first time, she thought about telling someone. No way, but he's in mine and very shortly cursed this kind. At school, Emma couldn't focus. Every sound felt distant. When the final bell rang, she stayed behind, searching her phone for anyone who might believe her. Then she remembered the mugshot, the name, Michael Carson. She typed it again, this time deeper into online archives. A record appeared. Agent Michael Carson, deceased. Internal case under investigation. Her breath caught. Agent. That night, she snuck back to the warehouse with a flashlight. The building was empty, except for one thing left on the table. A small silver key. It wasn't there before. On the wall, someone had written in chalk, "She's watching you." Emma turned the key over in her hand all night, unable to sleep. By morning, Daniel's car was gone again, and Laura sat at the table, clutching a cup of coffee that had gone cold. "You're quiet lately," her mother said softly. "Just tired," Emma lied. Laura reached out to touch her hand, but Emma pulled away. Laura's eyes filled with something between pain and guilt. Then quietly, she said, "Your father and I have done things we can't explain yet, but everything we've done was for you." Emma froze. Yet, that word echoed in her mind. Before she could ask, Laura stood and left the room, leaving her coffee untouched, steam long gone. Late that evening, Emma couldn't resist. She unlocked the attic with the silver key. The hinges groaned open to reveal boxes stacked neatly, each labeled in precise handwriting, Carson case files. She opened one. Inside were folders marked confidential and old surveillance photos, images of her parents, younger, armed, wearing earpieces. One photo showed them with another man, a man Emma didn't know, but whose name was written clearly beneath, Sophia Reyes. She blinked. Sophia? The name rang unfamiliar yet important. Downstairs, a car door slammed. Footsteps. Her father's voice, louder than usual. "Laura, they found us." Emma's hand shook as she dropped the file. The night Daniel shouted those words, everything changed. Emma hid in the attic, clutching the files, listening as chaos erupted below. Doors slammed. Laura's voice trembled. "How did they find us?" Daniel's answer came out ragged. Someone talked. Emma crept halfway down the stairs, peering through the railing. In the living room stood a woman in a black coat, badge glinting under the light. "Detective Sophia Reyes," she said calmly. "I'm not here to arrest you, Mr. Carter. I'm here to warn you." Daniel looked stunned. Laura's hand covered her mouth. "It's starting again," she whispered. From the shadows above, Emma realized Sophia's name, written in those case files, was no coincidence. Sophia's words were like static in Emma's ears. "The agency knows where you are," she told Daniel. "You both have days, maybe hours." Emma barely breathed. Her father's voice broke. "We buried that life. You said it was over." Sophia stepped closer. "It never ends for people like us." Emma's mind reeled. Us? So Sophia had been part of it too. Laura clutched Daniel's arm, her voice shaking. "Our children know nothing." Sophia's expression softened. "Then keep it that way. But tell the girl not to go back to that warehouse." Emma's stomach dropped. She stepped back into the shadows, heart pounding. Sophia knew she'd been there. After Sophia left, silence fell heavy as rain. Daniel slumped onto the couch, head in his hands. Laura paced. "We can't run again," she whispered. Emma stepped down slowly, the floor creaking beneath her feet. Both parents looked up, startled. "How much did you hear?" Daniel asked. Emma hesitated, her voice shaking. "Enough to know you're not who you say you are." Laura's eyes filled with tears. "We wanted to protect you." "By lying?" Emma snapped. The room seemed to contract around them. Daniel rose, the weight of a lifetime in his eyes. "There are things you can't unlearn once you know them." But Emma was already there, on the edge of knowing too much. By morning, Emma's anger had turned to desperation. She needed answers, not half-truths. She found Sophia's card near the door and dialed the number. "I know who you are," Emma said when the line clicked. A long pause, then Sophia's voice, steady. "Then you also know you're in danger." They met in a coffee shop near the edge of town. Sophia slid a folder across the table. Inside were classified reports, surveillance images, maps, and the word Carter stamped across the top. "Your parents once worked for an internal branch of the government," Sophia explained. "They uncovered something they weren't supposed to." Emma felt the world tilt. What did they find? Sophia hesitated. Something that cost lives. When Emma returned home, the house was eerily quiet. Boxes were missing, drawers left open. Her father stood by the window staring at the rain. "We're leaving tonight," he said. "Why?" she demanded. "Because they'll come for us." Laura appeared behind him, holding a small bag. "It's time you knew everything," she said softly. She placed an old flash drive in Emma's palm. "This holds the truth, but once you see it, there's no going back." Emma looked between them, tears welling. "Then show me," she whispered. Outside, headlights swept across the curtains, another car pulling up the street. The flash drive's small light blinked like a heartbeat. Emma plugged it into her laptop, her parents standing behind her in silence. Files appeared, videos, reports, encrypted documents. One video opened automatically. A grainy recording showed her parents, years younger, sitting in a sterile white room. A voice off screen said, "You're aware of the consequences if you proceed." Her father nodded. "We can't ignore what we've found." Her mother's voice followed, steady and cold. "We're exposing them." The screen went black, replaced by a single sentence. "Project Hummingbird. Classified termination protocol." Emma turned to her parents. "You were spies?" Daniel's silence was answer enough, Laura whispered. "We were truth-tellers until the truth tried to kill us." Emma's voice cracked. "You lied to me my entire life." Daniel stepped forward, his tone heavy. "We lied to protect you." "Protect me from what?" she demanded. Laura took her hand gently. "From the people we exposed." Her father added, "They're still out there." Emma pulled away, anger spilling over. "So, my whole childhood, our family, it was just a cover." Laura's voice broke. "No, Emma, the love was real." The lies were survival. Outside, thunder rolled like distant artillery. For the first time, Emma saw her parents not as betrayers, but as fugitives trapped by choices older than her own memories. Still, part of her couldn't forgive them. Not yet. Hours passed before anyone spoke again. When they finally did, it was Laura who broke the silence. "I'll come for the drive," she said. "We need to destroy it." Daniel shook his head. "No, it's evidence." They argued in sharp whispers while Emma sat frozen, her mind racing. Then a knock at the door. All three froze. Another knock. "Firmer this time, Mr. Carter." A voice called, "Detective Reyes." Daniel exhaled in relief and opened the door. But Sophia wasn't alone. Two men in black suits stepped in behind her. "They're here for the drive," Sophia said, eyes urgent. "And they're not with me." The taller man drew a weapon. Emma's scream echoed through the house. Everything happened in seconds. Daniel lunged, knocking the gun aside as it fired into the wall. Sophia grabbed Emma, shouting, "Run!" Laura threw a lamp, glass shattering in white flashes. Emma stumbled into the hallway, heart pounding, As her father fought the intruders, another gunshot. Silence, except for the storm outside. Then Daniel's voice, low and urgent. "Go, now!" Sophia dragged Emma through the back door toward the rain. "What about my parents?" Emma cried. Sophia's face twisted with pain. "They made their choice. Now you make yours." Behind them, another explosion tore through the house, the world Emma knew disintegrating into smoke and flame. They didn't stop running until dawn. Smoke trailed on the horizon where home used to be. Sophia led Emma into an abandoned motel off the highway. Inside, Emma collapsed onto the bed, shaking. "Is he alive?" she whispered. Sophia looked away. "I don't know." Emma buried her face in her hands. Everything was a lie. Sophia knelt beside her. "No, your parents believed in something once. They just paid the price for it." She handed Emma a small metal tag, scorched around the edges. "He told me to give you this if he didn't make it." Emma turned it over. Her father's ring melted and warped. For the first time, she realized the truth hadn't just broken out. It had destroyed everything. Emma woke to the sound of rain hitting the motel roof. The world outside felt emptied, hollow. Sophia sat by the window, speaking quietly into a burner phone. "Yes, she's safe for now," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes told a different story. When she hung up, Emma asked, "Was that about my father?" Sophia shook her head. "No one's found him." Emma looked down at the scorched ring in her hand. "If he's gone, it's because of me." Sophia turned sharply. "No, Emma. Your father made his own choices. You're alive because of them." For the first time, Emma realized survival didn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it felt like exile. By evening, they were on the road again. Sophia drove in silence, eyes scanning the mirrors. "Where are we going?" Emma asked. "Somewhere safe. Does that even exist?" Emma muttered. Sophia sighed. "It does if we make it." The highway stretched endlessly, yellow lines fading into darkness. As they stopped for gas, Sophia checked her gun and refilled the tank. Emma wandered to the station's restroom. But when she came back, Sophia's phone was buzzing on the seat. One message glowed on the screen. "Target located." "Proceed without her." Emma's chest tightened. "Without her?" She looked toward Sophia through the window, wondering who the message was really for, and if Sophia could still be trusted. Emma said nothing that night, though her mind raced. At a diner outside the city, Sophia sat across from her, stirring coffee she didn't drink. "We'll leave the state by morning," she said. New names, new lives. Emma stared at her, trying to decide if she believed it. "Did my parents trust you?" she finally asked. Sophia hesitated, eyes flicking away. "They did, once." The way she said once was heavy enough to crush air. Emma's voice dropped. "And now?" Sophia met her gaze. "Now I'm trying to make things right." The words sounded sincere, but Emma couldn't ignore the unease curling inside her. Secrets still sat between them, alive and shifting. When dawn came, Sophia woke Emma abruptly. "We have to move. Now." Outside, black SUVs lined the motel parking lot. "They found us," Sophia hissed. Emma grabbed her bag and followed. They ran through the back exit into the trees. Shouts echoed behind them, radios crackling. Sophia fired twice into the air, buying seconds. "This way!" she yelled. They reached a clearing where an old shack stood, half collapsed. Inside, Sophia slammed the door shut, breathing hard. "They want stop, Emma," she said. "They want that drive, and you." Emma stared at her, realizing the flash drive was still in her pocket. Her parents' truth, their burden, was now hers to protect. By noon, the forest had gone still again. Sophia leaned against a beam, wounded from a stray bullet grazing her arm. Emma tore fabric from her sleeve to wrap it. "You'll be okay," she said, voice trembling. "I've had worse." Sophia replied with a weak smile. Then her expression hardened. You have to decide what kind of life you want. One hiding from the truth, or one fighting for it. Emma looked at the flash drive, the weight of generations pressing against her palm. What if I can't do either? She whispered. Sophia met her eyes. Then someone else will decide for you. The air between them thickened, not just with danger, but with inheritance. 3 days passed. The chase had gone quiet, but the silence didn't feel like safety. Sophia drove them toward the mountains, winding roads swallowed by fog. They'll stop looking soon, she said, though her tone carried no conviction. Emma stared out the window, clutching the flash drive. You said my father might still be alive, she whispered. Sophia nodded slowly. If he is, he's waiting for you to finish what he started. The words cut through Emma's exhaustion. And what did he start? Sophia looked at her through the mirror. He was trying to end Project Hummingbird for good. The car climbed higher, fog thickening, as the weight of Emma's inheritance finally settled in. By afternoon, they reached an abandoned ranger station at the mountain's peak. Sophia checked the perimeter while Emma searched through the dusty office inside. Maps, old radios, and faded documents littered the shelves. One folder caught her eye, stamped with a faded government seal and the name Carson. She opened it and gasped. Inside were debriefing notes about Agent Michael Carson's disappearance. A single line at the bottom froze her heart. Operative survived under alias Daniel Carter. Her father hadn't died. He'd been living under protection. But from who? When she turned, Sophia was already standing in the doorway. Now you understand, she said quietly. He never stopped running. Emma's pulse quickened. He's alive, she breathed. Sophia stepped closer, lowering her voice. Maybe. But if he contacts you, they'll track him. Emma looked down at the flash drive. This could prove everything. Sophia nodded. It also paints a target on your back. For the first time, Emma saw fear in the detective's eyes. So what do I do? Sophia hesitated. Decide what kind of legacy your family leaves, truth or peace. The decision felt impossible. Her parents had spent their lives protecting the truth by hiding it. Now, Emma had to decide whether to protect it or reveal it to the world. Either choice meant losing something forever. Night fell fast. The station creaked with wind, every sound amplifying the tension. Emma sat by the old radio, staring at the frequency dial. She turned it slowly until static filled the air. Then a voice broke through, faint but familiar. It's Dad. Her breath caught. Where are you? She whispered. You can't stay with her. The voice warned. She's part of them. Emma looked at Sophia, who froze. That's not possible, Sophia said softly. The radio crackled again. She led them to us before. Then silence. Emma's hand shook as she stepped back, eyes locked on Sophia. Tell me it's not true. Sophia's face hardened, unreadable. Not everything you hear is the truth. Morning came pale and still. Sophia was gone. In her place lay a folded note beside the flash drive. Choose wisely. The world doesn't forgive truth-tellers. Emma stood alone on the mountain ridge, wind tugging her hair as she stared at the rising sun. Below her, clouds rolled like an ocean, vast, endless, uncertain. She pulled out her phone, opened an encrypted email address she found in the files, and hesitated. Her father's ring hung from a chain around her neck. With trembling hands, she uploaded the contents of the drive. Somewhere, far below, a satellite blinked awake. If love built this family, she whispered, maybe truth will save it. The screen flashed upload complete.